Gentlemen, welcome along to the show. Let's start off with that conversation. And I've always thought that, it's almost arbitrary to speak about who is the greatest player of all time, especially when you figure out that the rules are different in different eras.
Yeah.
The ball's heavier back in the day than what you have now. Offside rules totally different. No VAR back in the day. Lots of things change. The goalkeeper couldn't pick his ball as a back pass sometime back in the day, or could pick his ball rather. So there's so many things, that have changed, constantly moving around the football players in different eras to now, equates this player in this generation to the player in the other generation. So, but still, the argument persists. Who's the greatest? Pele, Maradona, Zidane. I think Ronaldinho is one who doesn't get mentioned into that category. But where do you stand with all of that? Is it down to a World Cup win? Messi, is he the greatest player of all time?
I think first and foremost, the way you put it, I always think that it's unfair to compare people from different generations because the ground rules were different, clearly. The football, I always think that the players who were playing football in the modern day would have had a culture shock playing football, say, 40, 50 years ago because, football wasn't as dynamic as it is today. It wasn't as easy on the eye as it looks today. Refereeing decisions, officiating was quite different. There's so many things that is allowed in the game in modern day that wouldn't have been allowed. So I always feel that it's not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing to do. But for conversation's sake, you always think that recent bias would play a big part, for many people who didn't watch football, say, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And all they can remember is Ronaldinho, Zinedine Zidane, Messi, Ronaldo, Figo, Rivaldo, and all.
And it's sort of like music, where, a music fan will tell you, the music back in the day is way better than the music now. And you've also got to say that, even in the NBA, it's the same thing. LeBron James, who's the greatest basketball player, Hakeem Olajuwon, who is it? Is it Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan? So, but fans are fans, and they love this conversation, and we love the conversation as well. We're not going to shy away from it, because what we can compare for sure are Messi and Ronaldo because they pretty much played in the same era. So that is not out of place, right? So, does the World Cup eventually crown? I know you're a Messi fan, and you watch Messi, but if he didn't win the World Cup, could that have still been something hanging over his head? Because I've always thought that, with or without the World Cup, Messi is up there as one of the greatest players of his generation. Sure. So the World Cup, in many ways, for me, doesn't change my opinion. What do you make of that?
Well, for argument's sake, Ronaldo, Messi, for argument's sake, people felt that winning the World Cup would definitely put Messi ahead of Ronaldo because they pretty much won every title available for them. Copa America for Argentina, the Euros for Portugal, and also they won the Champions League, multiple Ballon d'Ors, multiple league titles, Champions League, multiple Club World Cup, multiple Club World Cup. And the World Cup for me was just what maybe Ronaldo fans definitely don't like this, but what has put Messi
Ronaldo fans will tell you that
ahead of Ronaldo for argument's sake. But even without the World Cup, you can't put one ahead of the other.
Ronaldo fans will tell you that Ronaldo's played in 5 different leagues or something like that and has won this title. So how do you compare that?
And I keep reminding them that the great Sir Alex Ferguson, everything everyone knows with Sir Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United.
Yeah.
So has that taken anything away from the fact that you want to place him ahead of maybe Carlo Ancelotti, who has gone to other leagues and won multiple titles in other leagues, and that doesn't.
Well, depending on who you speak to, some people tell you, Carlo is the greatest.
I personally think that Carlo is the godfather, but I just think that those conversations around playing in different countries is not something that it's a making of the player. I think that Messi was at a level where just no one could prize him away from his club.
Barcelona.
And when you get to a certain level as a footballer, there's certain standards you see yourself and you hold yourself to. It's almost impossible to drop a level down. So if Messi were to leave Barcelona and come to the Premier League and say play for Manchester United, and Manchester United are not at the level at the Barcelona are at the moment, that feels like a step down. That's something that is very hard for Messi to do. But I also feel that.
Well, a lot of people tell you that Maradona played for Napoli.
Played for Sevilla as well.
And won the title.
So you get the feeling that the World Cup, the winning competition with your national team. It's harder than winning at club level, because at club level you have a lot of cosmopolitan superstars. You know, you buy players and make a team. But for at club level, those numbers are great, and I feel like it's almost impossible to compare these two players. It's not nice, because you look at the numbers of Ronaldo, staggering numbers, absolutely staggering numbers. How do you score 701 goals? Messi, 695 and still counting. And just incredible what these players did. Maradona, 600, Pele, 680. Maradona is not the guy who scored many goals, but still had, his imprints in football, and it cannot be forgotten.
Well, of course, stats are always the reference points in conversations nowadays in football. What about what the fans have to say? Inyobo Monday and Falana Adeniyi have had their say. Who is the greatest player of this generation? If you go a step further, who is the greatest player of all time? Here's what the fans had to say.
Lionel Messi is the GOAT of all time, actually, over Cristiano Ronaldo and every other footballer outside there.
For me, my greatest footballer will lose remain Cristiano Ronaldo. My reasons are: one, he's the current highest goal scorer in the history of world football. He's the current highest goal scorer in the history of Champions League football. He's the current highest goal scorer in the history of national team football.